Mike Woodson is leaving Indiana at the end of the season, and Hoosier fans everywhere rejoice. By the way, does anyone think Chris Beard's going to end up there? Anyways, Woodson is leaving, but thankfully, your favorite broskies in basketball never will, especially with all the questionable tags on this Saturday slate. Mike joins me in studio to break down the final Saturday slate before football is in the rearview mirror, and we're doing it right now, recording live from somewhere. This is One and Done.
Get out the insurance cards, get out the co-pays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by DrRoto.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that One and Done train. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos a One and Done. We are your fast break of college basketball información, and we are brought to you by the universe's greatest website, DrRoto.com. I am your sometimes humble host. My name is Jay Heinrich, and I happen to be the conductor of the aforementioned One and Done train. Find me on X at Dr. William Cannon. I'll hit you back with the follow. You know I will. But I know who you're here to see. No doubt about it. It's that man right there on your viewing device, and we call him in these parts El Capitan himself, the captain of the Greens. I almost did it again. The captain of the One and Done ship. Find him on Elon's hellhole at MC Holland 34. The OG Money Mike. Mr. Mike Collin. Mike, what'd it do?
But we still want the green screens on DFS shows
screens,
for sure. I'm doing good, man. I'm looking to turn this ship around, get back into these green screens that we've been talking about, and yeah, we're about to go on a crazy run here with college basketball. You said talk about NFL ending, and I can't think of a better way, right? Like this is gonna be a fun Saturday slate that we're gonna dive into. So looking forward to it.
No doubt about it. A 9-gamer tipping at 12 p.m. Eastern time. So you guys out there in California are going to have to get up early because it's tipping at 9 out there on the West Coast, even though it's, I've been told it is the best coast. So, you know, maybe not when it comes to DFS, but the live chat's already on fire. Cam hopping in, C-Thuggin, one of the OGs, and another OG, Forklift Jeremy hopping in there. Keep the live chat rolling with our friends Cam and Jeremy. Make sure you get in there, hit all those like and subscribe buttons. Mike, want a quick overview of this slate? Like I said a little bit ago, a 9-gamer. I got a 5K to first. These prize pools are going up, Mike. Exciting time of the year. So, what's your overview of this 9-game Saturday slate?
Yeah, so the first thing you look at it, I was glad I had 12 games projected on this slate, and luckily. We don't really. I'm gonna have one stinker, kind of one of the first games we'll talk about here. But 5 totals, 5 of the 9 totals over 150 implied points on KenPom. Only a couple of lower totals on the slate. There are injuries galore popping up. As I was kind of coming up with everything tonight, I was like, oh man, like there's it's gonna be like going back to the same world, the Iowa value, just with the Freeman injury, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, Tremont Marks out, Caden Shedrick's questionable. You got questionable tags just popping up all over the place. Jackson Robinson's questionable. And you got stars galore on this one, man. So I think it's going to turn into one of those plates where we're going to have to follow all the way up until lock to see who's starting and see who's out. And then also I think it's going to take a big, big total to take this 5K down or the $30 qualifier that's out there.
Either way, big totals or what we're going to need. That means we're looking for upside on this slate. And, how about some upside with how you handle your business in March? We're used to all the brackets, filling out a bracket on paper. I still do them on paper anyways. It's time for something new. Around here on One and Done, we're doing a lot of new things this season. New segments, new hosts with our guy CC Hustle hopping in. And now with BracketBids, we have a new partner and a new way to experience March. Download the BracketBids app or go to BracketBids.com and enter into a free pick'em contest. Or, now here's how it gets different. You can start an auction draft league with your friends, family, or coworkers, or whoever. Doesn't matter who it is. Somebody you don't like, somebody that's your cousin that you really only talk to once a year, or twice a decade, whatever. Get them in here. Multiple scoring models to choose from, including upset bonuses that reward the bold picks, but it's like your typical fantasy auction where you've got to, pay up for the teams that you really think are going to go far in March, outbid, outsmart your league mates there. With BracketBids, you can track your teams with live in-game scoring, watch the standing shift in real time. The further your teams advance, the higher you climb in those standings. And now, because Mike you said earlier, we like to get, those green screens. And what does that mean? That means we're getting this bread, right? So when you go to BracketBids, use the promo code BREAD for 40% off of your league activation fees. Download the BracketBids app today or visit BracketBids.com and upgrade your March. Find the link in the description here on YouTube. Good stuff. We love our guys over at BracketBids. We're happy to partner with them. We're happy to partner with you, the viewers here on One and Done. Darren hopping in there. We love seeing that. Darren always interacts with us over on Twitter as well. We appreciate those interactions. We appreciate all of you for being here. Now let's get into this 9-game slate. Mike, Tennessee at Oklahoma, that first game you talked about a little bit on the ugly side, only 136 implied points according to Ken Palm's metrics here. Tennessee is a 4-point road favorite and implied for 70 in this matchup. We know Tennessee doesn't get up and down like they did last year. In fact, they're 336th in tempo. So anybody's a pace up for them, including Oklahoma. We know it. You know it. Your grandmama knows it. Oklahoma has not played a lick of defense in conference this year. They're pretty much bottom dwellers. So Tennessee is getting a 2-point bump, rebounding bump, a stock party for Tennessee, blocks, steals. It's all happening. And what we do like about this, 323rd in bench minutes used. That should get at least one thumbs up out of my guy, Mike. At least one for the. There we go. Thank you. Two. Thank you for appeasing me there. But what about the Volunteers, man? How are we approaching this? Are we playing? Are we paying up for some of these better players or not?
I don't know that we can, man. If you're playing cash though, like Sakai Ziegler at 8,900, I mean, you basically know you're going to get 30 to 35, 36, fantasy points. So. Just a solid floor for him. For tourneys, like if you're going to play him, he has to take a lot of shots, right? You want to see him in the 15 to like 18 range, but he's, so passive, which gives him that assist upside. So this game environment, man, I don't know. 8,900 seems a little much for me in tournaments, so probably will not be going there. Milicic looking strong like us, like Mike says here. Last game with a 54 fantasy point game. Of course, I got off of him late in the before lock, so that was awesome. But you get the $1,200 increase here, and I mean, I guess he's still a tournament option here. Like he profiles nicely with the boards and the stocks, right? Also that 2-point percentage, you like that. So I don't think a lot of people are going to go back to that. Well, I don't love going to people that are coming off like their absolute nuclear game, but he's kind of interesting because I don't think a lot of people are going to go back to that 8K range to pay for him. And then Chaz Lanier, we always have to talk about him because he's live to put up 25 plus real life points, but of course we know he has to knock down all of his shots to have a chance at his ceiling because unfortunately you're only going to get like an assist, maybe a steal. So those times when he really goes crazy, which were earlier in the year outside of the SEC plays when he was, putting up just big scoring numbers. So for me, like I'm Ziegler for cash, Milicic, kind of interesting in tournaments. And then Lanier, if you want to get kind of wild in a tournament, just think he gets crazy. But yeah, nothing too exciting from this first game, man, especially when you look at this Oklahoma side, Jay.
Yeah, Tennessee obviously pretty good at defense. Not just pretty good, super good. Number one in defensive efficiency in the country. Big yikes. And the one player that you might consider, with that, see again, when in a slate where we're gonna have to score a ton. Like, period. It's gonna have to be a huge score. And Jeremy Fears has that type of ability to, if you get the boom of Fears and not the bust, you're going to get some cash. The problem is, Mike, one of those questionable tags that you mentioned earlier is right there on our guy Fears.
Yeah, I thought he was kind of like at home, it's Tennessee, right? They're the number one defense in the country. So nobody would play him, which is why I, found him interesting if he doesn't pop up questionable. 32% usage, 30% assist rate. Like, OU needs a huge win, but you're going to get the Ziegler D. Price is, it's sort of intriguing for tourneys, but with this questionable tag, man, even if he's out, like I don't love the value, guys, but of all the other teams that are out, like I don't want to get into guys in the 3K range that are, in 136 point implied total. I would much rather get into guys that are in the 150 plus that are replacing like some of the Kentucky guys, some of the Texas guys that we'll talk about a little bit later. So, yeah, I love what who's that? Darren talking about season. Oh, that's Cam saying, season low price point. Do we bite? If he's in, then you want to try and win 5K. Like he's just an interesting option, but there's really no reason to like go crazy in this game environment, man.
Tough to really commit to it for sure, but we're happy that you committed to hanging out with us on One and Done. So make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. We see a lot of you hanging out with us over on X, and we appreciate that. Do us a favor, open up that YouTube app, type One and Done College Basketball, WON College Basketball, One and Done College Basketball. Click on the channel, hit subscribe, hit the notification bells, do all that stuff so you can hang out with us like our guy, Mr. Brooks, who just hopped in there into the live chat. It's been a while. Girth, but good to see you again. Always good to see you. All of our friends in the live chat for sure. But make sure you hit those buttons and make sure that you follow our guy at Fantasy Nav, Eric the Blue, pushing the buttons tonight behind the scenes. Mike, of course, putting up these fine graphics for us. And then I mentioned them earlier, CC Hustle, filling in the host chair every once in a while, doing things behind the scenes for us. Our guy Nape doing stuff for us as well. So at The Real Napier on X, at One and Done CBB is where you can find all of us, all of the show stuff on all the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky. We're over there too. Is that like Vanilla Sky or no? It's not the same.
It's a good movie.
It is. That's a hell of a movie for sure. But follow us on all the socials, and we'd love to see you over there. But mostly, get over to YouTube and push all those buttons. All right, we got that first one out of the way. Got that taste out of our mouth. It's the last game that's under 140 for the whole slate and anywhere close to that for a while. So let's get to South Carolina and Kentucky. I mean, Big Blue Nation, talk to us in the chat. I mean, how are you feeling? Are you feeling okay right now? We're going to get to Butler in a little bit, but let's start with the Gamecocks of South Carolina first. 70 implied points in this total. The pace up to Kentucky's 34th in the country. So big time pace up for South Carolina. And Mike, we were talking about it in the text thread. Like, who's Kentucky? Who have they stopped lately? Like anybody?
Nobody.
Like,
dude, we could go get buckets on them, man.
Well, I mean,
30
yes,
minutes.
I could.
You
Yes,
get a
I
bucket.
could. Yes, I could. Give me 6 minutes. I could get a shot up. You know who else can get a shot up in this one, especially since Kentucky is not guarding anybody down low, is Colin Murray-Boyles. 10K flat. No need to worry. My accountant handles that. A nice, nice array of bigs that have all had nice games lately. Milicic, Tiro, Dia, like all these guys have had big games. And CMB is way more talented than those guys, Mike. Am I out of line saying that? Like,
no, not at all.
So the price tag is tough when you consider the guys around him at that price tag, the other people that you would pay up for. But
yeah.
An interesting spot here for Colin Murray-Boyles.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. Like, you kind of look at it, it's like, is Kentucky going to blow this one out? Nah, I don't know, man. I'm not so sure because they haven't been able to stop anything. Jamari Thomas, I mean, he's now 7,300, and I didn't think we'd get to this price point with him. He's playing great. There's just no upside for tournaments for me at this price tag, but I like the floor, so I definitely don't mind him in cash and double ups, especially if Butler's out. Like, they just cannot guard the perimeter, Kentucky. So, when the ceiling's like 30, 35. Even in this spot, I just want to, I just want to use him in cash, and so for that reason, I won't be using him in any tournaments. I'm more interested on this Kentucky side, man.
I mean, we talked about Kentucky not being able to stop anybody inside. You just said they can't stop anybody at the perimeter. I mean, is there like a 5x5 foot place where they actually can stop people and everybody just avoids that, like a heat map?
Heat map, yeah,
like something like that.
Can they stop anybody anywhere?
Anywhere? Probably not. Kentucky, though, is projected, there's the word, to score 82 according to Ken Palm's metrics in this one. So, I mean, all of the metrics are there for Kentucky guys to go off, like big-time stock party. South Carolina's 357th in opponent block percentage, 347th in opponent steal percentage. I mean, it's going to happen for the Wildcats. This is a good spot for them, just as a team in general, like to get one back. But from a DFS perspective, they should be able to get what they want offensively at least. And then we do know that Jackson Robinson is questionable, at least as the time that we're recording, and this is at 10:15 Eastern time on a Friday. So let's go to Amari Williams, the pay-up spot here for Kentucky. 9K flat, up another grand. Would have loved to get him at 8K in this spot for sure, but he's up 1,000 after smashing the last two games. He's doing this in 24 to 26 minutes, Mike. That's the thing. When that's the minute cap you're talking here, 9K, no matter what the talent is.
Yeah, it starts getting serious.
It's hard to believe that pace is sustainable, no matter how talented he is. Plus, consider the fouling issues that he's had, and he's got to milk every single minute that he can to help you cash where we want to cash at his price tag. Minimum 2 stocks, 3 stocks. I mean,
yeah,
that's what it's going to happen. Team. That's there, but probably more of a contrarian tournament play. I don't think people are going to be on him very much, not at this price. So again, if you're getting different, I'm not mad if you have a couple of shares of Williams.
Yeah, I mean, we got the chat talking about, I'll take my free double-double bonus with Amari Williams. Yeah, but Amari Williams can also just completely take your lineup. So I'm with you, Darren. I think he is going to be – I don't think that he's going to be very popular. It's just tough, man. Like, you start getting, he's got to get to 40, dude. At 9K, you got to get to 40 for a tournament. So,
and Darren did call that out the last show. Darren did. Yeah. He said the same thing in the chat the last show about the double-double bonus that he got there. I just don't know, man. Like, to expect him to have another game, 3 in a row at 43, 44 fantasy points, it's tough for him.
Yeah, for sure. And then, I mean, the injury news is everything, right? But regardless of injury news, I mean, obviously if Butler and Robinson are out, like Otegha, whether they're in or out, like he's got a huge role on this team. Like the price is kind of crazy for him. I mean, 8,400. We know he's got upside. So, these price increases, if Butler happens to return, which I don't think he will, that's tough, man. It's real tough. So, Jackson Robinson, I think he's pretty interesting because if he's out, I think it renders a lot of dudes that that kind of come available here. So Kobe Brea becomes like this really appealing option at 55. I don't know who else is going to, like, what are they going to do? Both of those dudes are out. It's like going to be Ole, it's going to be Brea, and then you're going to run out like dirt cheap Travis Perry out there at 3,200. So Brea's going to have to take like a million shots. So you like that for his profile. Kind of a floor play when he was in the, that's right 6K type range. But now you're sitting in the, mid fives is okay if he's going to take a bunch of shots because he's super shot dependent. So you give him 5 to 8 more field goals, especially if those are from 30. And I think he's kind of interesting if Robinson were to miss. And then, I'm going to talk about Travis Perry, man. He's 3,200. He played well last game at Ole Miss. I mean, 12.5 fantasy points at 14 minutes. Like, he's a talented player, but he's obviously seen some struggles as a freshman. And with Butler out and Kirk Kriisa being out, they don't have anything at that point guard position. We were talking about, like, who's going to play point. Well, legitimately, he's going to play point with those guys out. So, ball's going to be in his hands a lot. I would figure probably 20-plus minutes. So, he's definitely going to be a value play that's a bit intrigue of team total in the 80s. So, we'll have to see if both of those guys are out. Travis Perry is probably going to become a popular pick in DFS world.
One of those plays that we're going to have to pay attention to all the way up to the lineups locking for sure. This is one with as many tags, Mike, like you said, like it's just going to come down to it. We're going to have to be paying attention, leading all the way up to it. It's just we're going to have to do it. And Perry's a guy, if the right guys are out, 3,200, you can shape your lineup a lot of different ways. If you can get a guy in there for 3,200 that is going to have the ball in his hands a lot. So, good stuff there, Mike. Always love talking Kentucky. Always love hearing from our Kentucky folks who are a little quiet lately, which would be great to hear from Peanut Butter Posse. And we know he's around, our friend in the live chat. But hit all those buttons, like, subscribe, notification bells. As we move on to the next game in this slate, which is Oregon traveling to Michigan State. Mr. Brooks mentioned in the chat earlier that Pac-12 teams really regretting joining the Big Ten. Mike, is Oregon going to regret it after going on the road and facing the Spartans? I think they might.
So.
Oregon projected to have a shade under 70 points or 69, in fact, 115th in tempo for the Ducks here. Michigan State is 127th, so both of these teams are going to get up and down a little bit. The problem for the Ducks is that Michigan State is another team that is just playing lights out defense, 11th in the country in defensive efficiency. So it's going to be tough to get theirs, and that's why Michigan State's playing that defense too on top of everything else. But who's going to score? And it's probably, if anybody, it's probably going to be Nate Biddle, 7,200 here, elite fantasy producer. But when we talk about a ceiling and a floor, Like if you look up
That's yeah.
ceiling and floor, it's Nate Biddle. Like look at his. We don't talk about game log chasing, but what we do look is for patterns, and we look for trends. And what you don't get out of Nate Biddle is any of that, because it looks like this: 36, 15, 24, 13, 29. Which Nate Biddle are we going to get? The $900 price increase doesn't help me. I mean, it's sort of interesting, right? But the tough defense, probably another contrarian play, Mike.
Yeah, this Oregon side I don't love. I mean, Darren's jumping in here saying a little bit of Bamba. Not for me, man. Not at 7.5. I'm going to lean towards the guard. I'll say the 400 and play Jackson Shellstad. I know Bamba's been good lately, but I'm not counting on the rebound upside we've seen from him lately. I'd rather go to Shellstad, who's taking a ton of shots lately. Like if we're going to get Jackson Shellstad shooting 15 to 17 times a game and playing 37 minutes with his assist upside and steal upside, yeah, I like it for tournaments for sure. So I would rather not chase Bamba. I just feel Jackson Shellstad has a higher ceiling, but we don't know. We're not guaranteed, right? 37 minutes. So we've seen it the last 2 games. We see it consistently, and that's not something that we've gotten accustomed to seeing. So yeah, I mean, this is kind of like the first game where it's like you're trying to maybe find a one-off that can set yourself apart from 1,500 other teams. But outside of that, like you're just so many other good games on this slate.
Shellstad's my guy. I've been on him since day one, since before he was even on campus, and he is. I take it back. Like Shellstad is absolutely a step above Biddle when it comes to boomer bust and just that category. Like he will have his nights where he's just unstoppable, and then he just disappears, and he'll get his steals and stuff. But it's tough. I love Shellstad. It's like a Russell Westbrook kind of guy where he's just gonna, if he scores and if you score in the basketball, it's everything is falling together. He's gonna rack up some of the other ancillary stats no matter what, like Westbrook would. But if the shot is there, big time stuff could be there for Shellstad. Anything on the Michigan State side, they use a ton of people.
Everyone checks in.
It's Izzo, and It is what it is. It is what it is. Thank you very much. Are we playing anybody on this side?
I mean, like if you're going to play somebody, 77 is nice, but when you realize they play 11, 12, 13, 15 guys, it gets annoying. So like Jaden Akins and Carson Cooper would be the 2 guys I'd look at. Akins at 5,600, Carson Cooper at 4,300. Somehow they both touched 30 minutes last game. Obviously a rarity with this group. So if you're going to take a shot at Akins, in cash, I guess you're okay. I just don't know for tournaments. And then Carson Cooper, 4,300. It's just kind of interesting that he played that many minutes, but rug pull all the time with this Michigan State side. So yeah, not too interested. Much more interested in this game we got coming up here, Jay.
Yeah, it's tough to get excited about that one for sure. Like, just don't really want to. I don't know. It's tough. Again, you could get different, but there's some other ways that we can go on this one for sure. Texas and Vanderbilt next on our agenda tonight. Longhorns 1-point favorites according to KenPom's metrics. Remember, guys and gals, we use KenPom's metrics for these graphics and for the sake of our projected totals. So 151 implied points in this one. Texas is 76 of those. Pace up by playing Vandy here, who's 50th in tempo. So I don't know, man. Vandy's just gotten torched lately in conference play. So give Texas the shooting boost, because Vandy's giving them up from behind the arc and from 2, like just big time numbers. Jamon Mark popped up a few hours ago from Rothstein. Mike, we saw that come across our screen as out, and then Shedrick is listed as questionable. I don't know.
Here we
go. Like, yeah,
Kendall Weaver's still questionable, hasn't played. Like, it's about to be a short rotation for Texas.
Okay, well, let's talk about Trey Johnson then, because we know that that's a guy who's probably, Mr. Trey Johnson is becoming a man right before our eyes. Darren is a certified ball knower. He knows one when he sees one, and that's Mr. Trey Johnson indeed. After starting a little bit, slumpish, I would say, to start SEC play, he's picked it back up again, but his price is adjusted to that as well. Took 22 shots last game. Made 6, but that's okay, Mike. 22 shots, we're gonna take it. Who cares? Get the shots.
Give me 22 shots every time.
Get the shots up, Trey, for sure. Mike, what we're probably looking. Trey Johnson's a nice tourney option for sure, but the game environment is set up for either Johnson or Arthur Kaluma to just absolutely smash.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a hard time. Mark's out. Shedrick. I know Shedrick's not a big offensive weapon for them, but it's kind of scary thinking about. Mark's a Kluman at 7,700. He does have 40 fantasy point upside. I was hoping we get him one more slate where he was like in that lower 7. I think it was 7 last slate. But he's obviously the other main option, the other guy that's going to take 10 plus field goal attempts. He'd like his rebounding upside. He's a little bit of stock upside too, and I like him in these types of environments where he can do damage inside and outside. We talked about how bad Vanderbilt's been. He put up 52 fantasy points against Auburn. That's a tough defense. 41 against Missouri. 30 fantasy points at Florida, right? And that wasn't a very good game. So, I unfortunately like Arthur Kaluma for tournament settings at 7,700 or Trey Johnson, man. I'm with you. And then it gets kind of muddy, right? Like all kinds of options. If Weaver remains out, Mark is out, and then if Shedrick gets ruled out, you have all these guys. And who better to talk about that than us, right? Because we're down here in Austin. I would think Jason Kent at 3,300 is going to get a look to play either the 3 or the 4 next to Kaluma. I wanted him and Julian Larry to start this entire year because of the synergy and just what they do. But Jason Kent at 3,300, man, like if he's going to play 28 minutes, we saw what he did at Indiana State. You put him in this type of environment, 150 plus total. I think he could easily get you to 15 to 18 fantasy points at 3,300. Onyema, if Shedrick is out, he's going to get some burn at 3,500, but he's a guy that's going to rely on, getting boards. So much more inclined to maybe use a Kent if he's in the starting lineup. I think a guy that's kind of interesting is Devin Pryor at 3,500. If he somehow got the start, this is a guy that can show he can produce. So if you're out Mark on the wing, you're going to be out, Shedrick inside. You got to throw some bodies in there. Pryor's just kind of interesting at 3,500 and a solid fantasy point producer. And then Julian Larry, I really like this guy, capable of, 16 to 20 fantasy points for sure. He's going to be forced into, maybe 30 minutes now, and he has 3 ball and assist upside. So, yeah, Texas, if we get Shedrick out, we have Mark out, and Weaver remains out, it's going to get interesting. The 2 top dogs that are, I would say Johnson's priced correctly. Kaluma's a little underpriced for his role, and 76 implied total. We're probably going to want to get one of those guys and one of the cheapies, which is actually pretty scary when you consider going on the road here.
Yeah, and Vanderbilt, I don't know if it's you're not necessarily scared to make that trip, but this is Texas right now. They're not the most stable team.
Yeah, more scary for the Texas side than it is at Vanderbilt.
Exactly. Yeah. From that perspective, Texas is sort of middle of the road defensively in SEC play. So, Vanderbilt could find a way here. 37th in the country in bench minutes, man. This is not what we really want at all. But 75 points, you're like, okay, great. Oh, wait, they play 40,000 people. How about McLaughlin though? 6,300. Last couple of slates, we've been talking about him at 7K. Well, now guess what? 6.3. Can he play some minutes, Mike? Can we just get him on the floor?
No.
No? Okay. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you. I tried. I asked. Okay. I asked. I wanted to get McLaughlin some minutes. Apparently, it's not going to happen. I think, though, with the price drop, he does have a little bit more appeal. You could probably use him, Mike. I don't know. Tourney upside, probably a little capped because of the big rotation, but 6,300, it's a little bit enticing.
I don't know how. They're always on these Saturday slates, and we do the same thing. But because McLaughlin's at 6,300, you got a little bit of upside, but we need these guys in the low 30. Him and Hogan should be playing 32
35?
plus. Yeah, and
maybe?
Is that enough?
Yeah.
Maybe enough. I don't know, dude. I'm not playing Hoggard either. You can play Hoggard in cash though. 10 straight games, he's been 19 plus fantasy point, 19 to 29. No more, no less, in 10 straight. So you know what you're getting with Hoggard. So you're playing cash, double ups, you just play AJ Hoggard. There you go. All these other guys, you just never know with Vanderbilt, man. I know MJ Collins, it's just no for me. It's just a no for me here. So I don't know, dude. It's much more inclined to use the Texas side and figure out what's going on that side. And Cam's asking a question about the Texas side. Says, Does Jordan Pope getting 30? No, I don't think so. I think they're split. Him and he's just not. He's not good defensively, and so that shows. I know offensively he's a really good player, but I wouldn't be surprised if he puts up 10 fantasy points and Julian Larry plays 28 minutes. Like that's just one of those things. So no, I'm completely off Jordan Pope. I know he had the one game where he scored like 40 points, but that's not who he is. And Texas needs defense from that other point guard position or somebody that can play make, which is more in line with what Julian Larry does. So that's my take on Jordan Pope.
You've been calling for that for a while now, to have Julian Larry out there. Like, we
don't need an ISO guy. We need a rim pressuring. We need a rim pressuring guard. Like, if that's what he is, it doesn't make sense. Well, whatever. That's another show.
My feelings on Rodney Terry are very well documented, but so we don't have the time to get into that tonight. So instead of doing that, we're going to move on, but not until you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Make sure you do all of those things. Like, subscribe, notification bells. Don't miss 1 minute of our college basketball coverage leading all the way up to March. And head on over to BracketBids.com or download the BracketBids app. Use the promo code BREAD for 40% off of your league entries. Yeah, Ryan saying 40. Pope 40. Speaking of 40, Pope 40 bomb incoming tomorrow now because Mike said he's off of him, out like Trout. There he is, Corey, the king of the single entry right there. But he said tomorrow he's coming for that 5K. With the support of the squad at one and done. Thanks,
Corey, I can save my money,
man. Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, good shout, my pal. Good to see you, my friend Corey in the live chat there. And hop in there like Corey and Ryan and Cam. Our resident Mean Green supporter Darren in there saying Jason Edwards jacket trays tomorrow, but not playing.
Yeah, I think he had last game 1 rebound and 1 assist. Sorry, 1 rebound and 1 steal. I'm not playing 6,200 Jason Edwards. No.
Yeah, listen, and maybe and just to let me backtrack a little bit on my Shellstad stuff. Comparing him to Westbrook is a little bit overblown, but my point is that he does a little bit of everything, and if he's on, that's the kind of guy you want. Pope can get hot. Pope can give you everything that you need on this slate, but are you going to pay for that right now? And you don't know what's going to happen. I don't know, Edwards, is he going to give you anything else? Who knows? But that's what you got to do. Get in all those lineups, play your guys, make your moves, go for the ceiling. You're going to need it on this slate. It's going to take a big total to win. Darren hopping in as we get to the Michigan and Indiana game, asking, is it time to go back to the Twin Towers stack of Wolverines? How about the old Wolverines? Projected for 78 in this one. Michigan gets up and down a little bit. We know that. So, why not? Indiana's going to slow them down a little bit, but what they can't do is turn you over. So, they're not going to turn you over. They're going to miss shots that lead to transition, and they're just not good defensive. Speaking about not playing any defense, we let it off on the cold open. Woodson's out. Lame duck coach. First game after that, it feels like looks like somebody's going nuclear. And it'll probably be Danny Wolf because I'll probably won't play him. And that's how it works with Danny Wolf and me. We have a hate-hate relationship. I hate him and he hates me. I can never get this guy right, but you know what he's good for. It's Danny Wolf.
Yeah, he's live for 45-50 in this spot. We'll see if Indiana comes out with any juice. That'll be interesting, and especially because I'm going to have, unfortunately, too much exposure on that side because they're so cheap. But Danny Wolf here at 9,200. We know he has 45-50 fantasy point upside. You can pretty much play anybody on the slate with the way the value is going to shake out tomorrow. So yeah, I don't mind some Wolf here at 9,200. Obviously, Golden's $1,000 cheaper, and he can go just as crazy. He's depends on which guy gets the boards and the stocks, right? That's usually the way that they really smash for 40, 45. Golden's got a 54 5 games ago. So definitely both these guys are worth a look because Indiana does not like to guard anybody. I think Trey Donaldson's a little interesting. I think he's going to go overlooked here. Look, he's 6,800 and you look at what he does and it's not exciting, but you look at this defense of Indiana and I just think that he can rack up a bunch, 6, 7, 8 assists. And if he knocks down some shots and he's got some steal upside, I feel like he's kind of an interesting contrarian turning upside. I'm not running to the hills to click him. If I played 12 lineups tomorrow, he might just be on 1. I might not even make it, but I just think he's kind of an interesting click. But yeah, Jay, unfortunately, Roddy Gale's due for this. Roddy Gale just doesn't. He just doesn't have the same role. It's a double big, role, and he's just asked to score a little bit and nothing else because Golden and Wolf eat up everything else. It's hard to get boards when those two dudes are in there, like just grabbing them all, and then Donaldson has the ball in his hands a ton. So
keep doing
the assists are coming from him.
Keep doing the Roddy Gale rain dance. Sooner or later it'll rain. Cam, if you want to. I mean, I don't know if I could do it, but
I'm gonna do this Indiana rain dance, Jay, and it's gonna be disastrous. Look at the price tags, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough to avoid it. We know what we're getting into here with all of the narratives going on. Who knows? It might be the opposite effect. Maybe they'll come out and win one for the Gipper. Win one for the Gipper. I doubt it. They hadn't played with any heart for most of the season. Michigan with the top 25 defense here. So, I mean, I don't know. But the price tags, though, Mike, like you said, all right, let's break it down a little bit more. Indiana's getting a steals boost here because Michigan does turn it over a ton.
Sheesh, a ton.
Like
Roddy Gale.
Almost 20. Yeah, there's the Roddy Gale reference. 21% turnover. Oh, my God. Like, is that dead ass last? If it ain't, it's close. Well, 8-man rotation here. The consistency in minute, just like there's nothing else consistent about this team, and neither are the minutes, but the prices are way down. Ballo, 7,900. Along with the rest of the entire program, his price has absolutely fallen to rock bottom. But what we do know is that he has the big upside here. Michigan does play the Twin Towers, like we were talking about earlier. Who brought that up in the old live chat? Darren did. But if he stays out of foul trouble here, 50 fantasy points upside for Ballo for sure. Probably only a tourney play, Mike.
Yeah, all these guys.
Like I don't think. Yeah, we're not recommending Indiana guys for cash play, for cash games and double ups. But I mean, man, if he does have that game, it's within the last. He's gone over 37 3 times in the last 5 games. That 37 isn't going to get
at 7,900. Like
37 isn't going to get it done, but that 45, he got the 50 a couple of weeks ago. I mean, if he stays out of foul trouble, it's possible.
Yeah, it's got to be out there, man. And this is just the disgusting side, man. Malik Renew is down here at 5K. Miles Rice is 4,800. I might have more fun setting my money on fire tomorrow. I mean, all these dudes are just way underpriced. We got a Luke Goody sighting in the chat. The thing with he should have been starting. We were talking about that in the offseason. They needed floor spacing because you got all these guys that can't shoot. Ballo clogs up the paint, and then you have, Rice who can't shoot the 3, and Carlisle. It was a mess. We all knew this was going to happen. We talked about it in the offseason. But here's the thing about the Indiana guys. Like, you're going to need a lot of fantasy points. And these guys offer some of the biggest upside. I mean, you wouldn't be surprised if Malik Renew had 32 fantasy points. Like, now, I'd also wouldn't be surprised if he fouled out in 7 minutes. So, I mean, and Miles Rice was 7K a month ago. Like, large field tourney, yes. 4,800. I will never play these guys in cash. Michigan's going to turn it over. He has a nice steal upside. So, but he can play 32 to 35 minutes in this one. If it's a tight game, he's just way too cheap. So I think Jason B jumped in here, man. Miles Rice game. I mean, you say yes because it should be a tight game. He should be out there. He's 6'5", 7K type player, but yeah, it's just.
You can get
I'm gonna have 2 of these guys, or I'm gonna have 1 to 2 of these guys in almost every lineup, and that's like just absolutely terrifying.
You're just asking for it, huh?
I'm really asking for it.
Take a walk on the wild side. All right, Miles Rice game, according to Jason was asking about it. I mean, it's possible, but again, there's so many guys that are gonna we're gonna look at the top of the standings. And it's just going to be like 2 guys that are like nobody was on, and why would you play? It's like guys that our guy Corey pulls out of nowhere for some of these tournaments that he like the less than 1% owned guys that goes 5.5x. Yeah. Like those are the kind of guys.
Ballo 9 to 10K type player, Renew 7 to 8K type player, Miles Rice 6 to 7K type player. Like,
yep,
Michigan paced up. Turns the ball over a ton. I want this to happen. I really do.
Well, yeah, because we all want it to happen at these price tags. I mean, but Jason's saying bring back hashtag never renew. Bring it back. Are we bringing it back?
I want to know in the chat if y'all are playing multiple Indiana guys.
Oof, yeah. Are you just taking your Pepto-Bismol and popping a Hoosier into your lineup there? Let us know in the live chat, and let us know that you hit those like and subscribe buttons.
You've been burned a few times, huh? Welcome.
Yeah. We've been waiting. Ryan, we all may throw up at these box scores tomorrow, but chances are somebody's going to get hot, and win somebody a lot of money. We're chasing commas, though. We got to get different sometimes, and this is one way to do it for sure, is to get heavy on this Indiana side. Who I got Eric. I feel like does not. They might get a bounce, but like more of like a dead cat bounce. I think Eric was saying in the show sheet, like even a dead cat's gonna bounce a little bit when it hits off the sidewalk. Is Indiana gonna be able to fight through that? Who knows? We'll see. We will check it out. All right, Wisconsin at Iowa here, 164 implied points. We like that total. Wisconsin's 85 of those implied. A pace up. Hawkeyes are pacing them up here. And also happen to be one of the worst Power 5 defenses, Power Conference, whatever, defenses in the country. Badgers are getting a shooting and rebounding boost here. Badgers rotations can get a little bit annoying, though, Mike. Tanji at 8,600. Big-time price increase here. I don't know, man. Heavy shot dependency, and with this price tag, I don't know if I can get on board with the upside.
I mean, if he was, $7K, you'd be like, oh, this is awesome, right? But, Wisconsin's like one of those weird teams where they have two guys that are really scoring dependent. That's Tanji and Blackwell. Tanji's priced way up. So even if he scores 25 real life, I don't know if he'll do enough to pay that tag off. Then you have John Blackwell who's going the opposite direction because he hasn't done anything. And he was just 9K not too long ago within the last couple of weeks. And he has 30. So if he puts up 25 real life, you feel a lot better at 6,600. A little bit of rebounding upside, but man, the assists aren't going to be there. The stocks really aren't going to be there for him. So very scoring dependent. I would much rather play Blackwell over Tanji. Love the total. Good luck with Winter and Crawl and, Kamari McGee probably would have popped if all these questionable tags and stuff, just as a safer, secondary value play at 4,100. But I'm not doing this with all the value that's starting to pop up, at least questionable tags and everything, and all the lines are probably going to be different tomorrow. So I think I'm much more interested on the Iowa side, oddly enough.
Yeah, the Badger defense has been solid, but there's going to be a ton of possessions in this game. Owen Freeman being out, that's unfortunate for them. But it's fortunate for some players from a statistical perspective, for sure. Create a little bit of opportunity in that front court, starting with Peyton Sanford, who went for 42 fantasy points last time out on a low price tag. But here we are back in that 8K range again. 40 fantasy point upside every time he touches the floor, but he's got to shoot it well, man. He's got to shoot it well. Played all but 2 minutes, which helps the upside in the peripheral department. Obviously, going to fall into a few boards and going to get a steal or two, just being out there and being as talented as he is. And I like him with that near 80 point team total.
Yeah, I mean, all these guys are cheap, right? Especially Sanford, he's a 9K type player. So don't mind going back to the well here. You got Josh Dix and Drew Thelwell, especially Thelwell, man. Dix at 6,700. I never really play him. I'm just not in love with the pedestrian rates that he has, but he has 130 offensive rating. So he's getting it done with efficiency, man. I'm just probably not going to get there. Thelwell's pretty interesting for tournaments, though. He's coming off a poor game. And before that, last couple of games, close to 30, 33 fantasy points. His price is down $1,400. So, yeah, I'm not on any Josh Dix, but Drew Thelwell there at 5,500. I think he kind of goes overlooked for some large field stuff there at 5,500. So definitely don't mind some Drew Thelwell action, although that sounds pretty disgusting to say. And I'm not getting to Brock Harding, who's $100 cheaper. So pass on him. Man, what are you going to do with these big spots? Because they decided to kind of pull out everything last time. And Mulvey started, then in foul trouble or whatever, didn't really play much. Seydou Traore got foul trouble, but we know he has nice rates, and I don't mind going back to the well here for Traore at 4,600. Especially if people are going to be scared off and burned by what happened last time. I think he's live to get into 20, 23 type fantasy points if he stays out of foul trouble. So I'll be using him some, depending on how much value I'm going to use. It's definitely looking like a stars and scrubs type Saturday for sure. So I think Traore is pretty interesting. And then even Bronze, you got to love the name. It's just kind of interesting that he started the second half, $3,200. I mean, I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know that I really want to go here, but he's just kind of an interesting name to click after 12 minutes and putting up 12 fantasy points. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of options, man. Which couple of 3K guys or 4K guys you click is probably going to be the story on this slate.
If you just get down to your last spot and you only have 3,200, I mean, Bronze is a guy that, is he going to play 1 minute or is he going to play 12 minutes? You don't know, but tough times. You're going to have to get different anyway. Man, Cam was talking about doubling up on IU guys there in his lineups. It sounds like people want to get a little bit different and play some of the Hoosiers, Mike. Zion's left shoe hopping in a little late to the party, but good to see you, man. Always good to see you in the chat. T9X78, we flashed out a little bit ago. Thanks for hopping in there. We appreciate the love for sure. And our guy Heat hopping in, watching on Facebook. Our guy Heat from Dr. Roto, the Bring the Pain podcast. Good stuff there. Good to see Heat as well. All right, UCF and Baylor, 156 points implied on this one. For UCF, they are 15th in tempo. They're up and down. We love that. But Baylor's D has been pretty good lately, Mike. So is UCF's, blocking a lot of shots. And UCF is almost 300th in bench minutes used. So thumbs up to that for sure. With Hall on this side, you get the guard and forward eligibility, which could, depending on where you're spending your cash today. On this Saturday slate, I should say, that could make a difference, I guess. But when you get Max Price Hall on the road, I don't know, man.
Kind of scary.
It could be a thing, though, man. He dropped 50 at Kansas, right? He was on the road. Fog Allen, 50, 60 at ASU, 42 at Arizona, 37 at Tech. It's possible.
That's actually pretty good.
Only road blemish was Iowa State, which
gosh.
Ever since I called for Otzelberger to be in the Coach of the Year conversation, I don't think they've won since. Maybe once.
Now.
Sheesh. But anyways, with Hall here, I don't know, man. I think we'll hang around with the cheaper guys on this side.
Yeah, you bring up valid points. Like, he's played really well on the road, which now I have to think about him. But I'm much more inclined to use like Darius Johnson at 7K. Just really love his price. And if you're playing cash, I don't know how you're just not clicking his name. But he also has turning upside for 35, 40 plus. So you're going to get a bunch of shots from him. You got assist upside. You got steal upside. Just a tough spot on the road, 73 implied. So, yeah, I do like Darius Johnson just because he's going to play big minutes and has nice rates. So at 7K, it's just too cheap. Chim, we stop at Chim here at 6,600. He's live to block a bunch of shots here, but he's also live to get into foul trouble guarding Omiri. 4 points, almost 5 fouls per 40, which that's a foul out if you kind of look into things like that. But 30 plus fantasy points in 4 of the last 6. I don't know that I'm overly excited about the top end upside for Chim. So I'm not playing JIC. Really, man, it's probably Darius Johnson. And maybe I'll look to click Hall on one, see if maybe this road thing is a thing. But I probably won't get to it once Locke gets here. But you look at that 83 implied total there for Baylor, Jay. And, I think we can work with some of that.
Yeah, everybody's been cooking UCF, and Baylor's going to do the same. I don't really feel like there is a non-zero possibility that they don't, but Baylor's going to have their way with it. 3-ball boost for them. And some injury news on the Bears side. Edgecombe's questionable with that ankle, Mike. So Omiri at 9,300. The big total, talking about a double-double bonus, like locking it in.
Yeah,
seriously. A double-double bonus for Omiri. Another guy that if you just hope he can stay out of foul trouble, the ceiling, Even at this price, I'm in. If he gets 33, 34 minutes in the spot, 50's not out of the question at all. I like him in tournaments.
Yeah, it's definitely not out of the question, man. But as soon as you click O'Meara, he's sitting with 2 fouls, 6 minutes in the game. So it's
Damn
kind of
it,
one of those
Mike.
things. No, I'll have exposure to him for sure. Rob Wright, 7,100. Obviously, if Edgecombe misses, I just really love his upside. Regardless, I kind of like him if Edgecombe were in, but you just like the upside a little bit more with him out. So at 7,100, I do like him. Chat right here, Ryan's talking about Jeremy Roach. Jeremy Roach is a cash gameplay only because he's going to play 30 minutes, 35 minutes, and he is just going to give you 20-something fantasy points. So I think you're going to need a lot more. It's going to be tough to get to this price tag. Like these guys in the 5,500 to 6K range, it's going to be tough to play these guys because there's probably going to be a lot of value when we get closer to the lock. And then you got a bunch of studs that we've already been talking about. So, yeah, I like Bob Wright here, man, at 7,100. And I love O'Meara. So, I think Baylor obviously in a really nice spot. But, yeah, Roach and Nunn, just especially if Edgecombe is in, those guys are just complete cash targets. So, all right, man. Why don't we hop into the next game, which is kind of ugly, and then we got a final game that's a little bit better.
Yeah, 2 games left on this one. Kansas and Kansas State is the first game we're getting to. Last time out, Kansas won 84-74. Last time out, where these two teams played, they won 84-74 in Lawrence. Dickinson had 25-8-3, Mayo 24-5-3, and Hawkins played all 40 minutes. So 73 points implied for Kansas here. Rebounding and 3-ball bump for the Jayhawks. Mike, Kansas is a bit of a mess. We know Hunter Dickinson, right? But after that, it's kind of up in the air. What are you doing with this side?
It feels like Dickinson at this point is just a cash play. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's just getting frustrating. And I know people in the chat probably played him and been frustrated as well. But we saw what he did against these guys last time. And now you're on the road. I just think guys around him have your upside. We just talked about a few of them. So, yeah, I think in cash games, like I'd play Hunter Dickinson here. And really, man, it's hard to get this Kansas side right. Zeke Mayo at 8,700, he's max price here on the road. Like, I don't think so, man. I know he had dropped 24 against it, 24-5-3, but going on the road here, man. The rivalry game, like, I'm having a hard time paying for any of these Kansas guys for tournament type upside, Jay. And this Kansas State side only applied for 67 is pretty ugly, too.
Yeah, Jayhawks are tough on defense, obviously. But we got the rivalry game. We can take a ride down Narrative Street if you want. Kansas State doesn't play a lot of guys. 313th in bench minutes used. Coleman Hawkins is probably a contrarian tourney play here, but he did go crazy against him in that first matchup. A lot of stars to choose from. Like I said, Hawkins is at 9,400. With this price, is this the spot we want to attack again? It's tough, man. Like, I don't know with the guys that we're thinking about paying up for.
Yeah, and better
it might
spots.
Be a little bit harder to get to Hawkins.
Yeah, it's just a tough spot, even at home. I mean, look at the implied totals. So, could he do it? Yeah, he's contrarian, obviously, with all the guys around him. The only other guy I'd really care about, I guess, would be maybe Doug McDaniel. He could be a little sneaky at 6,200, which is kind of in that range we talked about. That's kind of like, do we want to play guys in this range because of stars and scouts potentially? So the problem is you're going to get the DeWan defense again. So I feel like he's kind of contrarian. Probably crossing off both sides, to be honest. I want to know in the chat, like, you guys jumping in any of this Kansas State side? Let us know. Yeah, Darren's saying he's been bombed every time he's played it. Yeah, same here. That's probably why. It's just been a weird year for Kansas for sure.
Yeah, weird year. Absolutely, it happens. Like, but we know Dickinson's upside. Period. Like, period. Right? He's gonna go off one of these days. And again, you don't want to just play that game. But again, like in a tournament where you're gonna need guys to get to 50, if you're spending up for them, he has the upside. So gotta consider it. Like you said, cash game usually is your feel at this point for him. But who knows? Could happen. It could happen, Mike. What's his price? It's 10K flat. No thanks. I don't know, man. That's tough. All right, one more game here on this slate. 9,600 is Dickinson. All right, that's tough still. All right. Like and subscribe, everybody. notification bells, hop in the live chat. It's on fire right now. Darren's talking about he's going to stack those Bears in Waco. I love it. I love it. Keep the live chat flowing. One more game here. Marquette and Creighton, 145 implied points. So we got 140 on that last one, 145 on this one. So ended with a couple of comparatively so some of these other totals, not the best totals. But in the first time out, Marquette won at home, 79-71. Kalkbrenner did have 16 and 12 for the Blue Jays. Cam Jones had 22, 9 and 5 for Marquette, who is projected for 72 points in this one, according to Ken Palm's metrics. 146th in tempo is Marquette. Creighton plays a lot of top 20, top 30 defenses on this slate, and Creighton's another one, 27th in the country in defensive efficiency. So going to be tough for Marquette. They're going to have to take advantage of every opportunity that they get, and they're going to get a stock boost here. Creighton's going to turn it over and get their shot blocked a little bit. So how are you attacking the Marquette side, Mike?
I'm playing a lot of Cam Jones in tournaments. This is I don't think he's going to get any cheaper. We're playing him at 10K. He absolutely fried these guys the first time he gave off the stat line, 45 fantasy points. I don't know who on this team's going to guard him. So I'm just going to have a lot of Cam Jones in tournaments. Chase Ross, he's kind of an interesting stacking partner with Jones. I typically don't like playing him without Cam Jones unless he's really cheap, in that 5K range that he was at the beginning of the year. So he does a lot of his damage with peripherals and stocks. He's been taking a lot of shots lately, which you don't mind. But yeah, man, I think a Cam Jones, Chase Ross stack is pretty interesting. I think stacking Jones with anybody on this side is a way that I'll be going. Stevie Mitchell here at 6,500. I never really play him, but he was another guy that had a really nice game against these guys, 35.5 fantasy points. He's got stock upside. He's a strong rebounder for his position. He can get you some assists. So just a lot of pass for him, higher floor. I think I'd probably like him a little bit better in cash, but I don't mind him for tournaments. David Joplin at 6,100, another cash type guy. And we know who's going to be on the floor for these guys. He's going to jack up a bunch of shots. He had 27.5 fantasy points in 31 minutes against him and only shot the ball 8 times. So he's live every game to take 15 shots. So with his rebounding and shot blocking upside, David Joplin is definitely interesting in cash or tourneys. And then he's being mentioned here in the chat here. Ben Gold at 4K. Here we go. I said it the other day. I was like, I don't talk about Ben Gold unless he's 4K. And then, of course, he pops up 4K on this slate. So, he had 21 fantasy points in 28 minutes. He's going to pull Kalkbrenner away from the basket. You just worry about foul trouble when Kalkbrenner gets inside and gets position, which is why Kalkbrenner is going to have another nice game against these guys. But Ben Gold, if he stays out of foul trouble at 4K, is kind of interesting. So, I don't know how much exposure I'll get to him. I'm probably looking at more of stacking Jones with Ross or stacking Jones with Joplin. And if you do it with Mitchell, that's probably the way to go because I never do it.
Cam asking, does Cam Jones get over 40% ownership in GPP? What do you think, Mike?
Just the size of the slate, how many studs? I don't know if it gets there, but I would assume he's going to be popular. I don't know why you wouldn't play him against this Creighton squad. Mike's Money Picks jumping in saying, your boy is in the family photo today that we're sharing in the text.
Yeah, that's the guy that 18-year-olds are competing for scholarships, guys with full family photos posted on that thing. Anyways, Creighton here. Rebounding boost and a 2-point boost, and they don't use a lot of guys, 320th in bench minutes used. So we dig that. Kalkbrenner destroyed Providence earlier in the week, 62.5 fantasy points. Hello, but we're paying for it now. Max price, but this is a good spot for him. Who's going to guard him? Who?
No.
Anybody?
I don't know.
No, nobody.
They better double him.
Yeah, they got to. What about that'll leave maybe old man Ashworth, as Mike's Money Picks like to say, right there. 9,500, Mike.
9,500? Yeah, that's just a big price tag, man. I don't see it for tournaments. I don't honestly see Neal for tournaments either, because those are the 3 guys that play 40 minutes: Kalkbrenner, Ashworth, Neal. The prices were a lot better a week ago, but Neal maybe as a run back potentially. I think it's kind of different. These guys can play 37 to 40 minutes, so I think I like Kalkbrenner because we're going to have the money to go all the way up to him. And I don't know that it's chasing because this matchup, he should slice and dice these guys. He should just destroy these guys. But I don't know. Sometimes you find these guys like Gold can pull people away from the basket and do different things, takes away a little bit of this rebounding upside on the defensive end. But he should smash on the offensive end on the board. So, yeah, man.
Pick one.
This is going to be a nice game.
Pick one of them that's going to go off. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it'll be called. I think he'll be.
All right.
I think he's.
Yeah.
But at 11K, it's like I don't think he's not gonna be popular, which is why I really like him for tourneys.
Yeah. No doubt about it. We want to shout it. Play Culk. All right. Anyways, good stuff there. Had to make sure I pronounced that L right. The Culk. Okay, you got me. All right, here we go. Time for the core four and more. We need the full injury news, Mike. You know we love to give out these core fours, how to start some lineups, how to maybe put some of these guys in and build around it. But we're gonna need the full injury news. So follow at One and Done CBB. We're gonna get some stuff out in the morning as we get the news. Take these cores with a grain of salt. Not a lot of value knowing we're gonna get to a bunch of dudes. So anyways, let's start with the cash core. Hunter Dickinson, 9,600. Again, this Mike said it earlier. He's a cash play at this point, and he's going to get you what he needs to. Should be safe for 30-plus fantasy points. Thomas from South Carolina, Jamari Thomas, 7,300, excuse me. Again, Kentucky's not going to stop anybody out on the perimeter, down low, doesn't matter. So play Thomas from South Carolina. Darius Johnson, 7,000, too cheap. He's an 8K player at least, so got to consider Johnson at the cash game. And then David Joplin, 6,100, great floor for him in that matchup. 5K flat left behind per player.
I see what you did.
There might need to be a little bit of worry if your accountant's handling that. You're going to have to work with a little bit here. You're going to have to get creative with that core. But again, start with these guys, mix and match. If you take Dickinson out of there and you go Thomas, Johnson, Joplin, and you play somebody else, you can get to a lot more guys. So those are the guys to see an intro for the core four. Let's work on that. Let's get there. We'll get there. Good stuff for the cash core. What about that tournament core for Mike before we get out of here?
Yeah, so I mean, kind of the same boat. Like the plays that we're giving you outside of, I'll give you one here in the tournament because we're talking Indiana and they're just too cheap. But with that cash core and with these tournament guys, we're giving you guys that are, we want ceilings, floors for cash and then ceilings for tournaments. But you're going to be able to play 2 to 3 cheap guys on this slate. So those guys, you just mix and match for playing multiple lineups or project out the best one based on what we've talked about or whatever else you use to kind of do that. But for tournaments, man, like I'm thinking you start in like this 9K range. Norchad Omier, Danny Wolf, like Amari Williams, kind of all right there in that 9K to 9,300 type range. I think you start with one of them. Feels like one of them is going to go for 40 plus here. It wasn't as high on Amari Williams just because he has to do it in 26 minutes, but absolutely could see it happening. So Omier and Wolf there. For sure, I'm going to play a ton of Cam Jones. It's just too good of a spot. They're not going to be able to stop him. I think you go into the 7K range too, and you look at someone with these guys with ceilings like Arthur Kaluma at Texas. You got Ballo obviously at 7,900. You got Rob Wright at 7,100, and then you're going to have probably 2 pieces that you can go to in the mid 4, low 4, low 4, even the 3K range that you're going to be able to play it. Miles Rice here at 4,800, Malik Renew at 5K. I mean, we just mentioned all the Indiana guys, right? So if you're not playing Ballo, you're going to play one of these guys. If you're not playing one of these guys, I'd play Ballo. I mean, that's just how it goes with the way that these guys are priced and the type of pace that the Michigan's going to give them. So obviously we go the expensive routes, 5K, $49.25 per player, whatever. But you're going to have 2 to 3 cheapies that you can play easily to go with these guys. So stars and shrubs, Jay, all day because we talked about all these guys. Yeah, exactly. Mike's money pick 5K average, not unreasonable because of the cheap guys who are inflated. Exactly, and we're going to get more news. There's going to be a couple of pop up tomorrow for sure. So it's going to be a fun slate, man. But it's going to be one of those ones where you're going to have to check us out, follow us on Twitter because we get news that Jackson Robinson sits and Butler's not playing, and all of a sudden 3,200 Travis Perry becomes thing. Like it's just going to get really really sticky. So. Pay attention to everything that's going on with us.
No doubt about it. Thanks for all the love in the live chat tonight. We appreciate every single one of you. Darren saying he's going to watch Vanilla Sky. Yes, do it. What a great movie. Good stuff, guys. Mike, great show tonight. Great information as always. Great job. Great job, Eric, pushing the buttons tonight. Eric the Blue at Fantasy Nav in those through the streets. We got to get out of here because he's got some radio show to do because he's a badass. So shout out to our guy, Eric. Shout out to CC Hustle. Doing his thing, who I saw in the live chat earlier, dropping flame emojis, I believe. At One and Done CBB, it flashed across your screen earlier. And shout out to our friends over at BracketBids. Get over there, 40% off of your league activation fees with the code BREAD. Details in the description over on YouTube. Get over there, push all those buttons, like, subscribe, notification bells. Follow my guy, El Capitan, at MC Holland 34 on X. I am at Dr. William Cannon over there. I'll smash that follow back button. Let's show each other some love. Tell somebody else that you love them. Make sure you take care of yourself. Take care of someone else if they need it. Saturday slate's going to be a fun one. I'm your boy, JayHeinRich. Come again. Peace.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.